Hey, sweeties, let's talk about BL series with toxic vibes. Those shows that leave you questioning if what you're watching is romance or just a whole lot of red flags wrapped in drama. Today, I'm counting down 11 toxic BL series that have all the drama, chaos, and red flags you can imagine. Ranking these was tough because they all bring their own brand of chaos, and honestly, some might argue they're not even toxic at all. This is just my take though, and I know everyone's list could look totally different. Plus, there are probably some shows out there I haven't watched yet, so if you think I missed any, feel free to share them. Alright, let's get into it and see which ones made the cut. Number 11, The Heart Killers. Honestly, it's too early to say if The Heart Killers is a toxic BL or just a dark romance. The series has those intense, morally questionable moments, but the real question is whether the characters grow or if the story just glamorizes the toxicity. If there's actual character development and redemption, then it leans more toward being a dark romance. But if it's just manipulation and unhealthy dynamics with no resolution, then it could cross into toxic territory. For now, I'm placing it last on the list because we don't know where the story's heading yet. It's gripping and dramatic, but until we see how the relationships and themes play out, I can't say for sure what category it falls into. What do you think? Would you call it toxic, or does it just feel intense so far? Number 10, Why Are You? The series. I've seen some people saying that Why Are You is a toxic BL, but honestly, I don't think it fits well into that category. While the series has its dramatic moments, especially between tutor and fighter, it's far from the kind of toxicity you see in a truly harmful relationship. A toxic BL often involves manipulation, abuse, or control that crosses boundaries. In Why Are You?, the conflicts are more about misunderstandings and personal growth. Tutor and fighter do clash, sometimes intensely, but their struggles come from emotional insecurities and external pressures, not a desire to hurt each other. On the other hand, Safe and Zahn's relationship is lighthearted and sweet, with playful teasing and mutual support. There's no power imbalance or harmful behavior between them, which keeps their relationship healthy and fun. So, while Why Are You has its messy moments, I wouldn't label it toxic. It's more of a heartfelt story with relatable challenges, making it hard to group with series that lean heavily into toxic territory, which is why I'm placing it here on this list. Number 9, The Wedding Plan. Honestly, The Wedding Plan has its fun moments, but if we're being real, it's got some toxic vibes too. Loam, the male lead, is a bit too controlling for my liking. Like, I get it, he's in love with Nua, but the way he goes about it, it's a lot. He pushes boundaries and acts like he knows what's best for Nua without even asking him. It feels less romantic and more like manipulation sometimes, and that just doesn't sit right with me. Then there's Nua. He's basically stuck in this situation where it feels like he has no say. You can tell he's vulnerable, and instead of giving him space to figure things out, Lum just keeps pushing. Even when they have cute moments, it's hard to ignore how one-sided their relationship feels most of the time. So yeah, The Wedding Plan is entertaining, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not the healthiest love story out there. It's the kind of series where you enjoy the drama, but at the same time, you're questioning why certain behaviors are being romanticized. Number 8, Fahlanruk. Honestly, Fahlan and Sherbert's relationship is a mess. It's so toxic, and it's like they're stuck in this endless cycle of hurting each other. Fahlan is just way too jealous. It's like he doesn't trust Sherbert at all. Anytime someone even talks to Sherbert, he flips out, and instead of handling it maturely, he gets all possessive and overreacts. And Sherbert, he's no saint either. The guy just shuts down completely whenever things get tough. Like, instead of talking things through, he'll avoid Fahlan or run off. It's so frustrating because they clearly care about each other, but neither of them knows how to deal with their issues in a healthy way. problem is, they bring out the worst in each other. Fahlan's jealousy makes Sherbert pull away, and Sherbert's distance makes Fahlan even more insecure. They just keep going in circles, and it feels like they're never really on the same page. Honestly, I don't even know if they're good for each other. It's like they love each other, but they don't know how to be in a relationship without all the drama. It's exhausting to watch, and sometimes I just wanted to yell at them to get it together or call it quits. That's how I feel anyway. Number 7, Unforgotten Night. So, if I'm being honest, Kamal and Kim's relationship definitely has toxic elements. First off, Kamal is super possessive and he doesn't really give Kim much space. He controls pretty much everything from where Kim goes to how he acts. It's like Kim's constantly walking on eggshells trying to please Kamal, but Kamal's not really respecting his boundaries. There's also a lot of manipulation, especially when Kamal uses his power to get what he wants. It's clear Kim feels trapped in a way, but he's also conflicted because there's this deep attraction and connection. The way they communicate is another big issue. They don't talk things through in a healthy way. Kamal tends to be very controlling, and instead of having an honest conversation, he just makes decisions for both of them. Kim, on the other hand, doesn't really stand up for himself or set clear boundaries, which makes the whole thing feel one-sided and unhealthy. At the end of the day, it feels like more of an obsession than a loving, respectful relationship. If you ask me, that's what makes it toxic. There's no real balance, and it's more about control than actual care for each other's well-being. Now, some other viewers might not see it this way. They could view Kamal and Kim's relationship as more of a dark romance, where the intensity and obsession are part of the appeal. For them, the possessiveness might seem like a sign of passion, and the lack of healthy communication could just add to the drama of the story. It might even feel more thrilling or edgy than toxic to them. So while I see it as a toxic relationship, others might just see it as a darker, more complicated form of love. Number 6, House of Stars. Oh, House of Stars is definitely one of the most toxic BLs I've watched. The entire setup is just full of manipulation and mind games. Mam is like the queen of toxicity. She controls everyone in that mansion, preying on their dreams and fears. It's like she enjoys watching them suffer just to see how far they'll go for fame. And then there's the relationships between the characters. Almost every connection is built on lies, jealousy, or some kind of emotional manipulation. You can't even root for most of the couples because they're either hurting each other or letting someone else control their love lives. It's so frustrating, but at the same time, you can't look away. What makes it even worse is how trapped everyone feels. Even when they realize how toxic the situation is, they stay because they think they have no other choice. It's like a cycle of pain they can't break out of, and you're just sitting there watching everything spiral. Honestly, it's not the kind of BL you watch for heartwarming moments or fluff. It's dark, it's messy, and it's full of characters making bad decisions. But that's also what makes it so interesting. It's like a look into how far people can be pushed when they're desperate. Toxic, for sure, but also kind of addicting. Number 5, Together With Me. When I think about Together With Me, it definitely leans into the toxic territory. And honestly, I think that's what makes it stand out, for better or worse. The series doesn't hold back from showing messy, flawed relationships. One of the biggest issues is how manipulation and dishonesty seem to dominate most of the characters' actions. Nox's inability to stand up for what he truly feels, and the way he just lets Plern, his girlfriend, control him, is so frustrating and emotionally draining to watch. Then there's Korn and Nox's relationship. Yeah, their connection feels real, but if you look at how their romance starts, it's built on impulsive decisions and terrible communication. And let's not ignore that first intimate moment between them. It's tricky because it doesn't fully respect boundaries. As much as you want to root for them, you can't ignore how their relationship often feels more unhealthy than romantic. But let's be real, life isn't always perfect. People make mistakes and relationships get messy. Together with Me shows that chaos, and I think that's why some people connect with it despite all the toxicity. It's less about a perfect love story and more about the ups and downs of emotions. If I had to sum it up, I'd say it's like watching a train wreck. You know it's bad, but you just can't look away. It's full of drama, tension, and those messy moments that make you stop and question what love should even look like. And sometimes that's what makes a series memorable, even if it's not exactly healthy. Number 4, My Personal Weatherman. Now, My Personal Weatherman is such a wild ride when it comes to toxicity. Segasaki is basically the walking definition of control. He decides everything for Yo, from what he eats to how he lives his life. It's like Yo isn't even allowed to have a say. And honestly, it's so uncomfortable to watch sometimes. The way Yo just takes it all, though, that's what gets me. He's so passive and insecure, and you can tell he's scared of rocking the boat because he feels so dependent on Segasaki. But then Segasaki can be so possessive and intense that it's hard to even figure out if he genuinely cares or if it's just about owning Yo. And the lack of proper communication between them, oh my god, it's exhausting. Instead of talking things out, it's always this back and forth of misunderstandings or moments where you can just feel Yo shrinking into himself. Segasaki, meanwhile, keeps everything bottled up until it explodes in some intense way, which just adds to the tension. It's the kind of relationship where you're constantly questioning if they even like each other or if they're just stuck because they don't know how to get out. Honestly, it's messy, uncomfortable, and so toxic, but that's also what keeps you watching, isn't it? You're just waiting to see if they'll somehow fix it, or if it'll all just blow up in their faces. Number 3, Bad Guy My Boss. Ellis and Pat's relationship in Bad Guy My Boss is toxic from the start. Ellis is so controlling. He knows Pat loves him, but refuses to commit, keeping him close just enough to use him emotionally. Making Pat arrange his hookups, that's next-level manipulation and cruelty. Sure, Ellis has trauma from Run breaking his heart, but that doesn't excuse him stringing Pat along. It's selfish. And Pat, he's stuck in this cycle of self-sacrifice, thinking being near Ellis is worth the pain, which just feeds into the toxicity. Their relationship is all about power and balance, emotional manipulation, and unhealthy attachment. It's messy, frustrating, and way too relatable for some people. Number 2, Only Friends. When it comes to toxicity in BL series, Only Friends is a textbook example. Both Sand and Ray's relationship and Boston and Nick's relationship are walking definitions of dysfunction. But that's what makes the show so addictive. Sand and Ray's relationship is painfully one-sided. Sand gives everything, his time, love, and patience, while Ray uses him as an emotional crutch. Ray, still hung up on Mew, leans on Sand when he's at his lowest, but never truly reciprocates. Sand knows this, yet he stays, hoping Ray will change, which only makes their relationship more frustrating. Boston and Nick are a completely different kind of toxic. Boston manipulates Nick, giving just enough attention to keep him hooked while refusing to commit. Nick's obsession with Boston drives him to cross boundaries, like secretly recording him, which is a massive violation of trust. Their relationship is a destructive cycle of manipulation and desperation, with no trust or balance. Both relationships are messy, draining, and clearly unhealthy. But that's what makes Only Friends so compelling. It dives into the darker sides of love, selfishness, insecurity, and manipulation, making it frustrating yet relatable. At the end of the day, neither couple seems headed for a happy ending, but that's the point. Love isn't always clean or fair. Number 1, My Stand-In. Honestly, when it comes to My Stand-In, I've got to say the series is the definition of toxic. Ming's possessiveness, it's on a whole other level. I mean, he doesn't just get jealous, he acts like Joe belongs to him, controlling him in the worst way possible. It's not just frustrating, it's exhausting to watch. You feel bad for Joe, like every step of the way. He's just trying to love Ming, but Ming's arrogance and sense of entitlement just push him down. The thing that really gets to me is how Ming never fully takes responsibility for how badly he treats Joe. Even when he has these moments where he realizes what he's done, it feels more like he's trying to ease his own guilt, not because he genuinely wants to fix things for Joe. It's one of those shows that made me feel drained. Like the emotional weight was so heavy and uncomfortable. This isn't love, it's manipulation, control, and just a lot of hurt. My stand-in is definitely the most toxic BL I've watched so far, no question. And that's it for my list of toxic BL series, sweeties. Which one shocked you the most, or do you have a favorite toxic couple? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. See you next time.